Hello, friends! The 128th Constitutional Amendment Bill was recently passed in both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, with the help of which women will get 33% reservation in the Lok Sabha and in all the state legislative assemblies of the country. In the Rajya Sabha, this bill was passed by a majority of 215, 0. That means no member of the Rajya Sabha opposed this bill, and in the Lok Sabha, this voting was 454, 2. That means only 2 MPs of the Lok Sabha were against it. Who were those MPs, and why were they against it? We will talk about it later in the video. But first, 2 controversial points related to this bill. First, this reservation will not be applicable to the upcoming 2024 Lok Sabha elections. This reservation can be implemented only after the delimitation exercise. Delimitation means to redraw the constituencies of Lok Sabha and Assembly to change their boundaries according to the latest census. Our census was supposed to be done in 2021, but the government couldn't do it. So it is estimated that the implementation of this bill can only be done by 2029 or 2031. Many opposition parties have raised questions about the need to wait for the census and delimitation. Why is the reservation of women not being implemented right now? How many years? 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years? And the second point of controversy is that why is there no reservation for OBC women in this bill? There is reservation for SC/ST, but not for OBC. What is the reason behind this? What is the implication of this bill? What is its history? And is it right or wrong? Let's try to understand everything in this video.
The reservation bill has been passed in the Lok Sabha.
मोदी जी को लगता है कि महिलाओं को ये झुनझुना दे दो तो वो वोट दे देंगी।
ये ओबीसी समाज का अपमान है।
You want a parliament which is consist of only बड़े लोग।
हमारे देश की विकास यात्रा में नारी शक्ति की भागीदारी सुनिश्चित करने का।
From December 1946, a constituent assembly was formed to write the constitution of the country. The drafting committee chairman was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Out of the 299 members of this constituent assembly, only 15 were women, including some famous names such as Sarojini Naidu, Sucheta Kriplani, Vijayalakshmi Pandit, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, and Amu Swaminathan. You will be surprised to know that there was a debate on women's reservation, and these women opposed it. It wasn't that these women believed that women weren't fit to be politicians. In fact, their argument was that women didn't need any special consideration. In December 1946, while discussing another matter, Hansa Mehta said, "The women's organization has never asked for reserved seats, for quotas, or for separate electorates. What we have asked for is social justice, economic justice, and political justice. We have asked for equality." The only Dalit woman member of this constituent assembly was Dakshayani Velayudhan. She said that she was not in favor of reservation. Later, in July 1947, Renuka Ray also said that women will get better chances when they are elected on the basis of ability and not reservation. The arguments of the respected members of the Constituent Assembly so many years ago, looking at the present situation, they seem very idealistic and impractical. By writing about equality in the Constitution, equality does prevail on the ground automatically. Today, even in 2023, there are millions of such people in the country who feel that women's job is to stay at home. Washing dishes, cooking meals, cleaning everything. Who will cook?
हम बनाएंगे रोटी सेठ आदमी तो यार देखो इतना दिमाग मत चलाया करो गर्ल्स अपने वैसे ही थोड़ा कम होता ना इधर तो
RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat in 2013 that it is the husband's job to earn money and women's job is to take care of the house. Hopefully, their views have changed by now. But the misogyny is still everywhere from entertainment to politics. Cheap songs like Honey Sings Makana, which objectify women, have more than 350 million views on YouTube. So many politicians have given sexist remarks like Congress politician Sanjay Nirupam's remark on Smriti Irani or BJP's Narendra Modi's remark on a 50 crore girlfriend. The founder of the Samajwadi Party, late Mulayam Singh Yadav, said such things that I can't even describe. In 2010, a similar bill was introduced to the House, and then BJP politician Adityanath protested against it and said that if men develop feminine traits, they become God. But if women develop masculine traits, they become demons. So, in such a misogynist scenario, the equality which is promised by the Constitution to women to contest elections is just a theoretical equality. In reality, if a woman competes against a man in elections, then many people's sexist way of thinking will not be able to accept that a woman is eligible to be a politician. At state level, it is even worse. Only 8 to 9% of the legislators are women. Now compare this number with the countries like Rwanda in Africa. In Rwanda, there are 61% women in their parliament. In countries like Cuba, 55% of the parliament members are women. If we make a list of 185 countries, India's rank at 141, 535. This is why the government needs to push for equality at the ground level. This is called positive discrimination. It is also called protective discrimination. Article 14 talks about equality before the law. Article 15 prohibits discrimination in India based on religion, race, caste, and sex. But the thing to note here is that positive discrimination has also been mentioned in the Articles of the Constitution, like Article 15(3), Article 15(5), and Article 16(4). According to Article 15(3), the government has the right to make special provisions for women and children. So it is wrong to say that reservation is against equality, when in fact, reservation aims at bringing social equality on ground. Look at this photo. It can be a good way to show how true equality can be brought only by bridging gaps. Where there is a big gap, it would require more efforts to bring equality. And in most cases, the best way to bridge these gaps is education. That in the Indian Parliament, from 1952 to that time, the average proportion of women was only 4%. Political parties often backed out from sponsoring women candidates. When this committee toured the country, many women's groups and scholars demanded a 30% reservation for women. But when they went to the political parties with this suggestion, they faced a lot of opposition from the political parties. It was said that women cannot be compared to socially backward communities. Although women have their own problems, they share their problems with men in their groups, locality, and community. The committee concluded their report saying that there was no rational basis for women's reservation. But still, this report had a big impact on the country's politics. In 1983, the Janta Party formed the government in Karnataka, which introduced the Nyaya Panchayats Act and gave 25% reservation to women in local bodies. Mainly, 2 people are credited for this. First, Chief Minister Ramakrishna Hegde, and second, Minister for Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Abdul Nazir Saab. Even though women got this reservation in the Panchayats of Karnataka so many years ago, in the state assemblies of Karnataka, the representation of women is still quite poor. Out of 224 MLAs, only 10 are women. In the cabinet of 34 members, there is only 1 woman minister. But if we go back in history, after Karnataka, we got to see positive developments in Andhra Pradesh, where in 1987, 9% reservation was given to women in Gram Panchayats. After this, in Odisha, in 1991, 33% reservation was given to women in Panchayats. Next year, this committee presented a national perspective plan for women for the next 12 years. More than 350 recommendations were given, one of which was that seats be reserved for women. That is why, in May 1989, Rajiv Gandhi's government introduced a constitution amendment bill, which gave a 1/3 reservation to women in all rural and urban local bodies in India. This bill was passed in Lok Sabha, but it could not be passed in Rajya Sabha. The next Prime Minister, P.V. Narasimha Rao, tried to complete this task. In 1992 and 1993, the 73rd and 74th Constitution amendments were introduced to provide this 33% reservations in panchayats and municipalities, and these bills were successfully passed. The law that was enforced only in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Orissa at the time was then implemented at the national level. In all the panchayats and municipalities of the country, women got 33% reservations. But the next question was, should the same be done in the state assemblies and the parliament? In September 1996, when the Prime Minister was H.D. Deve Gowda, he introduced the 81st Amendment Bill. It provided for 1/3 reservation for women in the parliament. In comparison to the previous 2 decades, things had changed a lot. Many politicians and political parties were supporting this bill. However, many members protested regarding the reservation for OBC women. Uma Bharti was an MP from Khajuraho at that time. She demanded that the reservation be given to backward caste women as well. Prime Minister Deve Gowda called a meeting of the leaders of all the parties of the country. After that, the bill is sent to a select committee. Many big names were included in this committee, including Sharad Pawar, Nitish Kumar, Mamata Banerjee, Uma Bharti, and the late Sushma Swaraj. This committee was headed by CPI's leader Geeta Mukherjee. That's why it is also called Geeta Mukherjee Report. This committee claimed that under the SC/ST quota seats have been reserved for women, but not for OBC women because there is no constitutional provision for OBC reservation. It recommends that the government extend the reservation for OBC women at an appropriate time, so that OBC women can also benefit from the reservation. December 1996, efforts to pass the bill were made, but it could not be passed. Even then, majority of the members were against this. In May 1997, Prime Minister Inder Kumar Gujral tried to introduce this bill again, but once again, this bill could not be passed due to the OBC issue. The majority of members still opposed it. The next Prime Minister was Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and he too tried to pass this bill. July 1998, RJD, SP, and BJP's OBC MPs opposed this bill, and this attempt failed. Meanwhile, another objection arises regarding the bill. Ilyas Azmi from BSP and GM Banatwala demanded that Muslim women be given representation too. PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee attempted to pass the bill twice more, in 1999 and 2004. Both attempts failed. But around this time, progress was being seen at the state level. In 2006, Bihar became the first state in the country under Chief Minister Nitish Kumar to give 50% reservation to women in local bodies and panchayats. After that, other states started doing the same thing. Next year, Sikkim does the same, and then one after another states start following. Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu. Since then, legislation has been passed in 20 states to give 50% reservation to women in local bodies. This is the reason why today, in the panchayats and municipalities all over the country, there are more than almost 1.5 million elected women representatives. Today, it is the result of this that we have 1.5 million elected women leaders in the country. The total number is around 3.1 million, so you can see that at the level of local bodies, women already have a decent representation. A 2004 paper from the London School of Economics has shown how with the help of this, we have seen a better focus on water, education, and road connectivity. But if we come back to the national level, then in 2005, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and Congress leader Sonia Gandhi met with leaders of different political parties regarding the issue of reservation for women. Here, not only did they talk about the 33% reservation for women, but they also discussed the MS Gill formula proposed by the Election Commission. According to this formula, it should be made mandatory for political parties that among the candidates they are fielding for the election, there should be a minimum percentage of women. To understand the importance of this, look at the March 2019 ADR report. How many women become MLAs after winning an election is a different issue. Before that, it is important to understand how many women are chosen as candidates for the election. In all the states, this was less than 10.5%. This is the highest in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Sikkim, and Delhi at around 10%. In 2010, the Bill for Women's Reservation was introduced under PM Manmohan Singh, and finally, it was passed in the Rajya Sabha. For the OBC issue, the then law minister had said that who is OBC and who is not depends on the state. Since 1931, we have not had a caste census of the entire country. No census has been done at the national level for the caste, and that is why it is very difficult to say. This was the reason why OBC was not included in this bill. NDTV asked Sonia Gandhi the same question back then, and she replied that no political party is being stopped from giving a seat to a Muslim woman or an OBC woman out of the 33% reserved seats. I would say, who prevents you from giving to Muslim women, to OBC women, a seat in the reserved 33%? But for the alliance partners of the UPA government, for SP and RJD, the issue regarding OBC was still significant, and that is why this bill was not brought to the Lok Sabha. In 2014, Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister. And if you see the BJP manifesto, whether the 2014 manifesto or the 2019 manifesto, it is mentioned at both places that the BJP supports the women's reservation. But 9 years after being in power, this bill was brought in 2023 during a special session. The good news is that almost all political parties now support this bill. The OBC issue was raised, but the bill was not stopped because of that. And finally, we get to see progress on this issue after so many years. But one strange thing this time is that the opposition parties were not informed about the agenda of the parliamentary session. Was this childish, foolish, and silly behavior? Or was it a way of taking credit by the PM? It felt like the opposition politicians were simply told to come, and that they would not need to prepare on the bills that would be introduced, so that PM Modi could bring in another masterstroke, to which they can only clap. But in this great battle to take credit, this time, the calm Congress also showed its willpower. Some reporters asked Sonia Gandhi, "Women's reservation bill, finally it's coming." And she said, "It's ours." In her speech as well, she said that this bill was her husband, Rajiv Gandhi's dream. Congress politician Jairam Ramesh posted a letter by Rahul Gandhi from July 2018 in which he requested Prime Minister Modi to pass this bill. In it, Rahul Gandhi had written, women would be able to participate more meaningfully in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. So both parties tried to take the credit, but the good news is that it was passed. Now the question arises, who were those two MPs who are still against this bill? Friends, both these MPs are from the AMM party. First, Asaduddin Owaisi, and the second, Imtiaz Jalil. They claim that they are fighting for the inclusion of Muslim and OBC women. That's why they oppose this bill. Does it make sense to further bifurcate the reservation based on religion? If this reservation is bifurcated for Muslim women, it means that Sikh women, Christian women, Buddhist, Jain, and Parsi women will also get special reservation. This kind of reservation based on religion was also discussed in the Constituent Assembly in the late 1940s. During this discussion, Sardar Patel said that the British had introduced the policy of separate electorates. We cannot repeat such a thing. Tajummul Hussain said that Muslims neither want reservations nor separate electorates, that Muslims wanted to merge with the country. Our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, had said that it would not be good for any small group or minority to show the world and the majority that they want to segregate themselves, that they do not trust others, and so they want safeguards and other privileges. Pandit Nehru had said that such a reservation would mean getting a small protection at the cost of significant privileges. Begum Aizaz Rasool also said the same thing, that giving reservations based on religion would mean that it will become a self-destructive weapon. In the future, it will always separate the majority and minorities. Apart from this, there were many other members who opposed religious reservations, like the great leaders Hasrat Mohani, Ismail Khan, B.H. Zaidi, and Naziruddin Ahmed. And I believe that all their arguments are valid even today. If someone thinks that only a Muslim MP can represent Muslim interests, and only a Christian MP can represent Christian interests, then in my opinion, this is a very dangerous situation. This would mean that there were no secular MPs left in the country, which is obviously not true today. But even if it were true, the way to end communalism cannot be by introducing communal reservation. Owaisi says that one day he wants to see a Muslim girl as India's Prime Minister. But I would say that in a Hindu-majority country, a Muslim woman can become Prime Minister only when we see secularism in the right sense, in politics and in public life. And Owaisi can start embracing this secularism with his party. According to a 2018 ADR report, one MP and 6 MLAs of his party had given hate speeches. He can remove them from the party. If we talk about Muslim women, in the AMM party, no Muslim woman has been given a single post. OYC can take the first step by appointing a female general secretary, spokesperson, or state president of the party, and the same can be said for other political parties as well. Now, moving away from the religious reservation for women, let's look at the OBC reservation for women. It's being discussed since the last 27 years. It reminds me of a couplet. There's been only one issue, and it is that till today, no one has spoken, no one has listened. Today, we get to see the hashtags Modi neglecting OBC. And in 2010, when Congress passed this bill, they were about Congress neglecting OBC. But if you look at this problem in depth, you will see that this is a functional problem. There is no quota for OBC in Parliament and Assembly seats, and there is no constitutional provision for this. At the central level, we don't know which caste can be considered in the backward category and which can't be. To do this, we will need to have a caste census. This is what Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi have said in their speeches. Rahul Gandhi has also pointed out that out of the 90 secretaries of the government, only 3 are OBCs. But the most important thing in this whole issue, in my opinion, is that such constitutional provisions should definitely be seen as a positive step. But they shouldn't be considered a magic wand. These steps will not automatically bring equality. In the Panchayat web series, we are shown how a woman is elected as the head of the village council, but she merely becomes a token head, while the husband took on the role of the head. And in reality, we can see this at many places. The husband's photo is also added to the campaign posters. We also see many news reports. The untold story of Haryana's women sarpanch. Women remain in kitchens. Men manage the work. In Gujarat, a sarpanch, Laxmiben Mori, is the head of the panchayat, but only on paper. Chhattisgarh. Women sarpanch hands over power to husband. So don't assume that things will change suddenly due to political reservation. Apart from this, we will have to take many proactive steps in the matter of education, health, and employment to help women get to the same level. When this happens at the ground level, when discrimination against women is over, only then can it be said that equality has truly prevailed.